everyone. My name is Yoshi Domoto. I'm the Executive Director of the Japan American Society of Georgia. So thrilled that you are all tuning in for our special session and discussion between our chair, Mr. Al Hodge, and the Managing Director of the Georgia Department of Economic Development's Tokyo office, Ms. Yumiko Nakazono. To get us started, we'd like to introduce the chair of the Japan American Society of Georgia, the founder and CEO of Hodge Consulting Services, Mr. Al Hodge. Al-san, yoroshiku onegai shimasu.
Good morning, and we are pre-recording. So this is Konnichiwa on the Georgia side of the planet, and Konbanwa for our good friends in Japan, most especially our bestie over there, Yumiko Nakazono-san. It is a real privilege for us to be able to get with Yumiko and also to most especially hear her expertise, her insights. Yumiko's reputation is truly international beyond Japan and Georgia because she is not by age, but she is the respected, even revered dean of the international offices that are in Japan. And her track record of success is very long, wonderfully, wonderfully successful. Of course, the office for Georgia in Japan has been established for well over 40 years. And she, of course, has not been there for all 40. On the other hand, she's been there for many years and has helped to secure so many companies for Georgia throughout the state. If you look at a map of the state, there are Japanese companies in every region. And as recently as last week, yet another of the companies expanded. This is F&P Georgia. It expanded for the 6th time. Wow. Therefore, her legacy and her good work continues even as we speak. Well, she is a native of Kogashima and an alum of Kogashima University. She works, we know, all of us that are in Georgia that work in economic and community development know that she really works 24/7 as the managing director of the Georgia office, because just like right now, it is in the evening in Japan, and this is not the first time that she's put in extra hours in the evening and on weekends, part of what helps her be so successful. Well, in addition to her expertise and her good work, she also likes to practice yoga. She enjoys hiking. And of course, this will be a surprise to no one. She also likes to travel. And so with all of that, we thank you, Yumiko, for being with us today. And we'll start with the questions.
Thank you so much, Al-san, for your very, very kind introduction about myself. And Al-san has been one of my best friends in Georgia for a long time. And thank you for everything. Okay, let me show my slide. Okay, the first slide, this talks about what my department does, who we are. My department is marketing and sales arms of the state of Georgia. And what we do here in this list, we do attracting new business investment in Georgia, and then supporting the expansion of existing industry in Georgia, allocating new markets for Georgia companies and their product, and attracting tourists to Georgia, and promoting Georgia as a location for entertainment business and project, and workforce education and training. Next slide, this shows about my office at first. My office, which is Georgia Japan office, was opened in 1973 in Tokyo by President Jimmy Carter when he was a governor of Georgia. And he realized the importance of the connection between Georgia and Japan at the time. And Georgia was one of the few states which had an office in Japan at the time. And now we are located in the central area of Tokyo called Toranomon Minatoku. And we have 2 people. And the main mission of my office is investment promotion to attract Japanese companies to Georgia, and trade promotion to assist Georgia companies for the Japanese market. And also we work on public relations. And below this world map, this shows the international offices that my department has around the world. These green countries are our international offices. We have 12 offices now. And in Asia, we have 3, Japan, South Korea, and China. And these are Japanese flagship Japanese companies in our states. And YKK is the first Japanese companies which set up full-fledged manufacturing facilities in our states back in 1974. And since that time, there are so many Japanese companies located in our states. And I cannot show them all here in this small slide, but they are all important companies for our states. And Japan is a top ranking investor nations in Georgia in terms of investment amount, in terms of number of facilities, and the number of employees hired by those companies, Japanese companies in Georgia. And this is a list of Japanese companies which have manufacturing plant in our states. We have over 150 manufacturing plant by Japanese companies. And then this is a Georgia map, and this shows where each of these manufacturing plant are located in our states by this orange dot. And this US map, this shows the US states which have office in Japan, like my office. These are states with star marks, they have an office in Japan. And then in Japan, we have an association called American State Offices Association. And then we work together on various kind of things to promote each of our states in Japan, such as we participate in a trade show together, and we do investment seminars or receptions. We have regular meetings, periodical meetings, and also we have a website together to promote each of our states in Japan. And this last slide, this shows statistics by the Consulate General Office of Japan in Atlanta. And they do a survey on the Japanese companies' presence in 4 states in the Southeast they cover. They do the survey every year. And this is their latest version. And as you can see, Georgia is #1 in almost all the categories, except investment amount. Alabama overtook us when Toyota Matsuda decided to locate their plant in the States about 2 years ago. But until the time, we're #1. So we had to catch up with them again.
Thank you. And so very impressive. And that has to make you feel good because your role in most of those, certainly not the early ones because of your youth, but for so many of those, you've played a very direct role in helping to secure those for Georgia. So thank you so very much. And we know that this is a team sport.
Yes.
and therefore you work very closely with colleagues in Atlanta and throughout the state
Yes.
to promote economic development. We also want to point out, again, reinforce that those over 28,000 employees are in every region of the state, and that's a wonderful balance there to share our good Japanese investment and friends. We also are happy with with Japan being at the top of the list for international investment in Georgia. And so you've been very much involved with that. And sometimes in the interest of talking about all of this, we talk about the wonderful Japanese companies in Georgia, which we greatly appreciate and have every right to be proud. We are also proud of the Georgia companies that are in Japan. And perhaps notably, our friends at Coca-Cola have been a great Japanese investor. Aflac, Delta, and a number of companies have established offices there, have a great established presence, and also, of course, sell a lot of product and services in Japan. So thank you for your role for all of that, and a nice nod as well for entertainment opportunities with both ways. So thanks again. And with all of that, what attributes, what priorities in particular do you focus on when engaging Japanese companies? We have legislators that are tuning in, of course, state and local officials and economic development practitioners, chambers of commerce throughout the state. What are the priorities that you work with when you're working with Japanese companies?
Okay, let me pick up 2 points here I'd like to talk about. First, the Japanese companies or corporate Japan. The corporate structure is bottom up, not top down. And so we should look for and go to each business division or project team in charge of the project we're looking for, instead of going to the company's top management. And in Japan, it is said that decisions are made by a group consensus rather than individual authority. So top management, they trust their people, each project, business division, project teams, and then those people, they work throughout the entire process of the business, of the project, with their best effort and intelligence. So again, we should go to those people and establish a good relationship with them and win a trust from them and work with them throughout the entire process of the project. So this is the key points I'd like to pick up. And the second, at corporate Japan, internal consensus, internal agreement is very important. And it would take time. But Japanese company people, they're not going to be reaching out to people outside of their organization unless they can have almost complete internal consensus agreement by themselves. And even if they respond, their answers could be unclear, vague, but still, we should wait. And they're thinking about your question, what you need, seriously and sincerely, and they are working on that. So be patient and wait for them. So this is a point, second point I'd like to point out. So thank you.
Thank you. And that kind of expertise is so helpful as we work through the attraction as well as working with in order to ultimately secure the deals. And so thank you for those good pointers there. I got to see that up close and personal many times over the years with you and your good guidance on what and how and when in order to help these companies. Well, we know that you represent, and with distinction, represent Georgia in Japan, and you work very closely with our good commissioner, Pat Wilson, and Scott McMurray, Joseph Hunteman, and the rest of the colleagues in Atlanta and that are posted around the state that work together with and for us at the community level. Share with us some of the engagement and what may be different as far as Japan as compared to Georgia, and then how all that fits together.
Okay. Probably the biggest difference between my office and my Atlanta office is that my office has to look for a new investment prospect for Georgia. And in order to accomplish to work on this mission, I'd like to talk about some activities that my office does on a daily basis. First, media articles. My office subscribes to news clipping service every day. And then they pick up articles, topics on Japanese companies' investment business activities in the US. And when I receive it, I pick up the one which are most relevant to my office activities, to my office mission, which is look for investment prospect. And then I contact the companies in the articles and ask about the articles, their business, if Georgia could be included in their candidate location, etc. And some articles talk about companies already decided to locate in XYZ states, but not in Georgia. But still, I contact the companies in the articles and ask them about the articles and if Georgia couldn't be included in their candidate location. So I ask them that way. And some other articles talks about Japanese companies' business expansion in the US. And if the company is located in our states, in Georgia, then my office keeps Japanese companies' contact information already located in our states. Those companies' head office in Japan, we keep the contact information. So I contact those companies' head office in Japan and ask about the articles. And second, networking. Networking with the companies whose client will be having an investment project overseas. And those companies are Japanese construction companies, banks, trading companies, consulting firms. And they have very valuable information, useful information for our states from time to time. So I try to keep contact with them and exchange information with them on a regular basis. And also, besides those private companies, government organizations have information on Japanese companies which have investment project, investment plan in the US and time to time. And those are US embassies, Select USA team, and or JETRO, which is Japanese government, Japan External Trade Organization, by the way, they have office in our states as one of the 6 offices in the US, and they are very helpful. And they, both US embassies, Secretary USA team, and JETRO, they have very valuable information time to time on Japanese companies with investment project in the US. And if Georgia is included in the candidate location, and there, let me know, and then I start working from that point. And some other activities my office does is that my office visits with industry or trade shows, exhibitions in Japan throughout the year, such as automotive, machinery, food processing, electronics, aerospace, and so on. And I think it's very effective because we can visit with many company booths during one show, during in one day, and then we can ask about each company's business status, any investment plan, if possible, in the US. So I think it's effective to visit with those industry show exhibition. And also some existing Japanese companies already located in our states, they introduce their suppliers or any companies that they have a business relationship with, if those companies should have investment plan in the US. And also Japanese companies with investment project plan, sometimes they contact my office directly. And then I start working with them from the point. And then that is a very lucky case for me, I think. So these are some of the activities my office does on a daily basis for investment promotion for the state of Georgia. But I can say there's no perfect solutions, perfect way of looking for a new prospect for our states. But still, I believe it's very important to keep doing these kind of activities here. And my head office in Georgia, in Atlanta, they also play a very important role for investment promotion, such as they look for each candidate communities or candidate sites for each project. And also when Japanese companies ask for information or data, statistics on various kind of things in our states, then my head office has a very strong research team, and they work on each request, each question from each companies, and then they reply with their best effort, which is very, very helpful. And also my department, head office, they connect Japanese companies to our state's agencies, which assist investment into Georgia. And those are a Quick Start, a job training agency, and or Department of Labor's, and or EPD, Environmental Protection Division. And also they introduce Japanese companies to our important partners in Georgia, such as Georgia Airlines, Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development Authorities. So these are very important actions. And also my department, they work on each company's actual visit in our states. And they make itinerary for each project, each company's visit. And then they take care of the visit from the beginning to the end of the itinerary, which is a very important role they make. So this is my answer to your question.
What a great answer. What a great answer. And I lost count of just how many different entities you work with, both private and the entities, the Japanese government and the different entities within Japan. And of course, the wide array of Georgia agencies. You mentioned environmental and of course the Department of Economic Development and so many others that you work with in order to help make certain that the attraction, which is today's focus, and then of course with that, if we continue those relationships and continue to create a profitable environment, then expansions are always opportunities for the state. And I know, again, you work very, very closely on both the front and the continuous work with relationships and keeping that moving forward. Thank you. We also appreciate from the Japan American Society of Georgia your recognition of the Consul General, with whom we work very closely, and JETRO. The surveys and the recent indications of Japan companies that are continuously interested in the United States, and of course the current concerns with the pandemic. Japanese companies are continuing to invest in the United States and invest in Georgia, and are looking at even more opportunities. This is so timely, so thank you, ma'am. You know, the work that you do is timeless, and at the same time, right now especially, it is very, very timely. Well, with all that in mind, what types of attraction strategies and policies should the state and local communities consider when working with Japanese companies? And I'm reminded, of course, that at the state level, Georgia has earned year after year being the #1 state in the United States to invest in. So that does mean good policies and the right kinds of work. Share with us your perspective and expertise related to that.
Okay, thank you. Well, actually, it would depend on each company and each project, what kind of strategy or policy we should consider. But if I pick up some common strategies which Japanese companies are most concerned with, those are one, logistics and transportation infrastructures, and also workforce infrastructure availability. So they are concerned with those factors very much in order to make their operation in the US to be successful. They think it's very important factors, crucial factors. So we should listen to what they need carefully, in more detail, what kind of logistics or workforce they would need for their operation, for their project, and then work out what our state can offer to them. And also, I think depending on the industries, there must be industry-specific characters, I think. For example, if it's automotive industry, in the US, the automotive industry started and developed on so-called automotive corridors, including I-75 interstates. And that area has very important, crucial infrastructures, including suppliers needed for the industry. So Japanese companies would want to be located with a good access to the infrastructure, I can tell. So we should listen to what they need in detail and work out what our state can offer to each of them. And Georgia is lucky that we have I-75 interstates. It doesn't have to be right on the interstates, but still a good access to the infrastructure and to the interstates, the area. And also, Japanese companies, more and more companies are concerned about operational cost in the US, such as labor wage, property cost, land and building, and utility cost. So again, we should listen to what they need for their cost strategy, structure, for their operation in the US, and to see what we can offer to them. So these are the points that I'd like to make for your third question.
All of those are certainly important, absolutely. And as you pointed out, I-75, I-85, I-20, I-16, even 95 going through the state, all of the interstates are so very important, and the transportation, logistics. You've also several times already have talked about employment, and I guess year in and year out, when site selection consultants are surveyed, what are the most important aspects of priorities? It is education and workforce and logistics. So those transportation corridors you've already identified are so very important. And again, our state working on the funds for education and workforce, K through 12, as well as, of course, the collegiate level with our university system and the technical college system of Georgia. All of that factors in. And I know you know these folks personally and have continued to work with them professionally for all these years. So thank you for all of that. And you also, I think, just to reiterate your point, it is relationships, and it is customized by the team that you work with the Japanese companies and what those specific companies need. So thank you for sifting through all of that and working to get those deals done. Well, speaking of that, what concerns and key issues, what considerations are there that we should make at the local level and the state level to support Japanese companies?
Okay. There are a couple of things that I'd like to mention here for your question. First, confidentiality. Japanese companies are very cautious and careful about their business and project confidentiality. So we should always keep in mind when we work with Japanese companies. And then we have an important partner in our states, such as Georgia Airlines, Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development Authorities. And my department, explain about our important partners in Georgia, which helps assist investment promotion for our states. And then explain to Japanese companies that our partners work with the same level as our department, and they keep their information confidential 100%, so they don't have to worry about it. So we explain about it to Japanese companies every time. And second point is Japanese companies, they may not express their feeling loudly, even if they have issues. But still, we should listen to them. And then they would need us to listen to them and try to solve the issue together. This kind of attitude is very important, and they would appreciate it. And then, so we should be with them and try to solve problem together with them. So we should always be that way, which is important, I think. And then third point is that, let me talk about incentives. Many people would say incentives are just a bonus. not a decisive factor for company to make a decision on location. I agree, generally, but it depends on the situation. The incentives could play an important role for company decisions. For example, if one Japanese company is looking at Tennessee and Georgia, and the candidate sites and all the other factors are mostly the same in both states. No difference. And the company is wondering which states they should choose. And then they may look at incentives from both of the states. So we should pay attention to the point. And if we think that we should get more information from companies about what they are thinking about, if we are behind the other states or not, what we should do more. So we should always ask the company for their honest opinion, their update status of the project until the last moment before it's too late, and keep working with them like that is very important, I think. So these are the points that I'd like to make for your first question, Alison. Thank you.
Well, by all means, thank you. Thank you for all of the information. And to amplify one more time, the great relationships that you've earned and with great respect over the years is commendable. And of course, Georgia has benefited each time. Additionally, when you talk about the incentives, that really does indicate the highly competitive environment that we're in. And Japanese corporate executives have 50 states from which to choose. And of those 50, let's face it, sometimes it's based on geography, related to where their clients are or their customers. Sometimes it is more open season, and therefore those states that have the competitive policies are the ones that win, along with the local communities. And therefore the incentives is so very important. So despite being number one, we have to earn it every day, don't we?
Right.
Every deal, every single deal, we need to make certain that we earn it, because there really are choices. And I know that, again, great track record of success and being able to maintain and grow that is so very, very important to make certain that it's sustainable, and also an opportunity where we just don't maintain, but we thrive.
Right.
That we thrive. Well, thank you. And thank you again for all of the different projects and opportunities that you've continued to work on through the years. I know that Southwest Georgia was recently happy with the new glass company and the metals companies and really the wide variety, pharmaceutical, just so many different life sciences projects you've worked with. Naturally, and especially, I guess, by sheer quantity, it's been automotive and automotive related. Would you say that's been the largest sector?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. And I know that, again, you've worked very closely with Georgia Department of Community Affairs and the Georgia Ports Authority.
Right.
We so much at the Japan American Society of Georgia appreciate how we work together on business, culture, education, so many of the areas where we have strong mutual interests. And then it, of course, all goes back to relationships. So thank you, ma'am. You're the expert on relationships, and your modesty is also well known. And so we won't let you get away with that. You really are the most respected of the state offices in Japan. So thank you for all of the good hard work, and congratulations for your deserved compliments.
Thank you so much, Ao-san, for your very, very kind word for me and for my department. And thank you for this opportunity for me to be on these seminars.
By all means. And as we continue, we're getting ready to bring in a panel of friends that also are going to talk about it from different perspectives. We've had the benefit of now your perspective from Japan. We'll be hearing from, and of course the state. Then we'll be hearing from private sector site selection consultants and utility perspective. And so thank you. So on behalf of Yoshi Domoto, our very fine exec, and Jessica Cork, our vice chair, we thank you, ma'am, for sharing time with us, our morning, your evening, and we look forward to continued great success. Domo arigato.
どうもありがとうございました。See you again soon.
Yes, here's to that. Yes, here's to you.
Thank you so much, Ao-san, and thank you so much, Nakazono-san. Sincerely, I think Japan would not be Georgia's #1 foreign investor if it wasn't for all the great work that Nakazono-san and her team does in Tokyo and throughout Japan, here in Georgia as well. But to learn more about Nakazono-san's office in Tokyo, please visit www.georgia.org. We'll keep it simple, georgia.org. And you can go to the international representative panel, and then you can see more information about her. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.